Crypto. You don't need the anxiety. Before you bought the bullshit fantasy coin, your life was good. But then you made some money and became greedy. Now the bullshit coin is fucked. And nobody can tell you when it is going to be unfucked. Even the motherfucker who convinced you to buy the bullshit coin, who told you that it is going to be the next big thing, that motherfucker is nowhere to be found. You are on your own. And all you can do is cry about it in the shower. And hope and believe that your bullshit coin will go up in price again. So that you can sell it and make some money and buy some more. And then get fucked all over again. That is crypto.
All right, I thought that was applicable for today. It sure does feel like it. I'm still kind of sick, guys, but I'm going to do my best here today to push forward. So, obviously, it has been a rough week since I saw you last. Lots going on. I think there's a lot of really good things happening, too. I want to talk about that, give you guys a little bit of hopium. I did update my portfolio. I did that this morning. I'm down almost $1 million. It's a little over 900K from the last, roughly 3 weeks ago when I updated the portfolio last. The biggest moves on it, I just wanted to go through this real quick, and then we'll get into other stuff.
Fuck crypto.
Oh, wait.
You don't need the anxiety.
We don't need that again. We got enough of that this morning. Good morning, chat. Yeah, down only $1 million. Dude, I could do $1 million in a day. That's nothing. But especially if things are really moving. But the biggest shift, I've sold 50% of my Clean Spark contracts. I still have about 2,200 right now. Those also lost value after selling them. So between selling over half the contracts and then them losing value, because again, these things are getting close to turning to dust. The calls that I have are November of, I think 21st of November. So they have about 3 weeks to play out. Got to be above 20. Anything, if we're not above 20, they'll go to zero. And anything above that is just the difference between each contract, which is basically essentially 100 shares that you could purchase, and what that difference would be in dollar amount. So we want to see it go up. Luckily, we've got some really good news today that we're going to be focusing on quite a bit, and that is Iron and Cypher. Both of these companies finally got deals, and they're worth a lot of money. So that is a major boost to the Bitcoin mining sector for anybody that's been flirting with HPC, high performance compute. And so this morning, not only are we seeing a ridiculous move on Iron of 21%, getting us back to our all-time high here, at least the 52-week high. Well, actually, no, all-time high right next to it. Not only are we seeing that, after a really good consolidation, this wick up just showed so much strength last week. But we're also seeing Cypher that got a contract too that is now at its all-time high, or at least 52-week high. Let's go back here. Yep, all-time high. Up almost 18% from a contract that they have signed as well. And then we have hints of contracts coming in the future for Clean Spark because, again, they've got a lot of power. A lot of it's renewable. And they've got low-cost power, and they've got... They tried to vertically integrate, so I think they're well positioned as well. So they're up about 3.5% on the morning, and then Mara's at 1.64, Bitfarms is up 5.5. I'm sure Wolf is up a decent amount. So the miners actually, even though Bitcoin and crypto have sucked for this week, and last week, and a lot of weeks. What was it? 2 weeks ago when all the margin got wiped out of the all shit coins and the largest liquidation ever in history. I think it was 3x more than the next largest. It was a pretty big deal. So things we've seen a lot of change, and but I do believe that this is a gift, and I'm hoping to be able to capitalize on it in the weeks ahead. Again, if you're in November Clean Spark calls, we're cutting it close. We definitely want to see a good bounce here. And I should bring that up real quick, and then we'll go into, zoom out a little bit, go over the portfolio, and then zoom out with all these news events, because there's so much. I do want to take note, though, that, again, this goes all the way back until 2018, right? Yeah, 2018. So this is a 7-year trend line that we did back test last week. And if we zoom in here a little bit, we actually did a really good job this time bouncing and coming back up. And then right now on this weekly candle, you'll see how we're starting up here for the next one. So technically we were underneath it. We were still above the fib, which is good. And then now this week we're starting up here like we're finding support, which is a beautiful thing after a really strong run. I mean, you got to be happy with the fact that we were in the 8s not too long ago on CleanSpark. That was the end of August. We were in the 8s, beginning of September. And then we got all the way up to 24. So a 3x. You gotta be happy with those kind of moves over that period of time. 200% gain is nothing to slough at. Oh, sorry, slough. I don't even know if that's the word I'm looking for, but my nose feels that way. I'm going to adjust this chart real quick. So again, if we're looking here at what I think is possible, I think it's very easy for us to get to the .618, hopefully in the next couple of weeks here. November is the best month of the year for stocks. It is the best month, really, when you're in the 4-year cycle. If we're assuming that this is the end of the 4-year cycle, and we'll go into more about that, and Jordy Visser and his thoughts on Bitcoin IPOing this cycle, and just there's a lot of interesting stuff that was out there this weekend. We'll talk about all of it. But if we believe this to be true, again, not even just the month of November, but this period all the way up until April is like the best time of the year for stocks. And so you have like all of these things where the history tells us that this is going to be a really good time for crypto and a really good time for Bitcoin. And not only do we have that, but we have, again, gold topped. It's bouncing back a little bit. But again, if we look at history over here, guys, if we zoom out, at bare minimum right here, let's just pretend like this is much worse than this. But let's just pretend that they're the same. What happened when we topped over here in April of 2025? We chopped sideways until September. So gold operates on a much longer time frame. Yeah, the Visser article is a must read. I 100% agree, and everybody seems to be talking about it, and we're going to cover it a lot today. But and again, if you just see this, you see sideways chop for months, right? So anybody who thinks that they're going to make a shit ton of money over the next couple of months with gold in the debasement trade, I think it already peaked. We could get up here again by some freak of nature. We could get back up to 43.78 in the next couple of months. I doubt it. I think a lot of money is going to flow into Bitcoin because, again, I know from 30-ish years of experience, I watched the dot-com bubble with an absolute fascination as a person who was just turning into an adult. And my dad was very much invested around that time. So I got to see all the chaos of that. But also 2008, and again, the pandemic and all these other bubbles, I've seen all of this, and I can tell you what happens. And then just studying historically, what happens is you have the larger containers, you have money just flows around like water. It's not always just one thing that does well. If one thing does really well, a sector or a given stock, that will flow into others as people speculate. They want to lock in gains on the thing they made shit tons of money off of, and they want to find the next thing that's going to be that. And you have just a wave of emotion and money movement that occurs. And when people have more than doubled their money off of gold and they've done well off that trade, and they're seeing people, though, like in AI and data centers and HPC, they're seeing these young punk ass kids that are making 3,000 fucking percent, and they're like, "Yay, I made 100% off of gold, and now I finally had my breakout after it consolidated all the way since 2011, and then finally broke up in March of 2024." So it only took 13 years for this thing to break past its all-time high and then to push up. And again, if we just look at where that was from the breakout zone, that's like a doubling. And so it's just very important to realize that even the gold guys that are cheering about how fucking great they did, they're looking around and being like, you know what? Everybody, what if AI is real? Maybe I should take some of that gold, a couple trillion of this, and I should start looking towards these things and trying to ride these other waves with just a portion of my portfolio. And so money flows. It always sloshes around. Even the winners are wondering if they could win more. The losers this is like a perfect time to chase for the losers, I think, because the winners have just kept winning. If you're looking at Palantir, I mean, again, 205.75 in pre-market. It just looks beautiful. And all of these things that have been winning, especially in AI, Mag 7 is just ridiculous. Just if you look at the Mag 7 and compare it against the other 493 stocks in the S&P 500, it dwarfs them for performance. So you have people that have been overly hedged, all jumping in. We can see that now. Benedict said, sorry, what about the Visser article? So essentially what he's talking about, and you know what? Let's real quickly. Let me do this. Let's do Visser next. I'm going to finish my portfolio. So again, I think CleanSpark, I think these November contracts might actually end up still doing really well. And I've already done well. I've had some of my gains are up 600% for what I was making that I was selling out of, right? So I'm already, even with the contracts that expired for my September dates and with what's happened here, what I've sold, I'm already in the black. And right now it's just trying to make more money. Could I have done way better? Yeah, probably just holding the stock. Honestly, my leaps and calls over the last like 1 to 2 years, I don't know. I haven't loved it. There's a lot of things that I've done wrong. Miners were just a horrific pain in the ass for fucking ever. I thought the cycle would be shorter this time around. It's turned out to be the exact opposite for Bitcoin and crypto. It's probably going to be a longer one. And so there's just like, again, with my calls, I don't know. I could still do well. I could still maybe pull in another million on top of the gains I already have. Maybe 2. If that happens, what a fucking miracle. We're going to enjoy it. But ARKG is really the one that I'm super excited about right now. This one is my largest position. It's doing a great job. If we just scroll down here, it's doing a great job maintaining strength. And I believe we've got Tim earnings today too. Tempest AI, or not Tempest AI. Temp. Sorry, I'm so tired. We've got earnings on one of their top holdings, and for ARKG. And ARKG was up 4.5% on Friday, and it's up about 0.22% in pre-market. So this one's holding on really good, doing a good job. Again, I don't have any leverage on Tesla. That's my number 2 position. Solt and BMNU have sucked. They've been bleeding pretty good. BMNR is, again, just the 1X version, so I'm doing all right on that. And then, again, those CleanSpark calls, but if anything gets crushed, if crypto and Bitcoin get really crushed, it's going to be my BMNU, my Solt, and my CleanSpark that are just going to get obliterated. But all in all, Tesla doing really great, ARKG doing really great. I've got calls on that go all the way out to January 2027. I'm feeling really good about that position. The only thing I'd like to see turn around, and I think it's going to happen this week, and we're going to talk about all the tailwinds behind us, but I think that Solana, I think that Ethereum, I think this is the bottoming week. As we Tuesday have Mom Donnie's election, and during that election, I think after he wins, the government's going to open up. That's the chatter that I'm hearing from everywhere. And so if the government opens up, I think we've got the tailwinds of us signing the China deal, like officially, and that's looking good. It looks like things are looking good on that end. I think we're just trying to get some kind of confirmation from China, see some official posting that's matching what Trump's talking about that makes people feel good. So I think that's going to come early in the week. I think Mamdani's going to win his election. When he wins, I think they're going to reopen the government maybe Wednesday or Thursday. We also have the expiration of the insurance premiums and the Obamacare and just that whole mess. They need, I think it was slightly benefiting the Democrats, especially in sanctuary cities, to have the talking point of the Republicans have the government shut down, you're getting fucked, we'll give you everything for free. And so I think once they win that election, I think, again, the government opens up. And so we have a lot of really good things that have happened. We already got a 25 bip cut. I think we're going to get another 25 in December. Let's look here real quick and see what the probability of that is. Last time I looked at it, it was like 50% now. But let's see if that's changed today. I'll try and get caught up in chat. We just got a lot to cover, and so I'm trying to roll through as much as I can. So December, it looks like, what are we at right now? So we are at a current of 375,400. So there's actually, it's gotten a little better. It's 67.1% that we get another rate cut in December. So that's good on the 10th. So that's good. We want to see that. We don't see the MOVE index, which is the bond volatility index. That continues to weaken, which is great. We don't want bond volatility to be high. And we're seeing the VIX just kind of, consolidate at lower levels. The 10-year is higher than it was. It's all because of the Fed, man. It's all because of the Fed. The Fed got hawkish. We were sitting around over here, right? The Fed lowered rates by 25 bips, but then Powell talked all hawkish, like, hey, I don't know if we're going to cut rates in December. And in doing so, he spooked the markets and he helped yields spike. And so I think that's what happened there. I think that's the primary issue behind it. And I do think that this is going to roll over. I think we just got to hear some good stuff, right? We got to hear that China's on board, and I think they will be. I think they are literally signing this deal, and I think it's going to be a good one, because they can't. The problem is, if they don't abide by the terms of these contracts, like with buying the soybeans and doing everything else that they're saying that they're going to do, allowing rare earths, they're going to get immediate 100% tariffs again from Trump. He'll just fucking tweet it out. And every time he tweets it, whether it goes into effect or not, it fucks up 1/3 of the manufacturing production of China, probably a little less than that, maybe a quarter, because all the producers that normally produce and push out a lot of their volumes towards America, and again, they're sending it to other places, but they're destroying those countries at the same time, and they're really complicating their relationships with them as they're dumping into these markets and then hurting any of their local manufacturing in those markets. And that's happening all around the world. There's tons of data. We're going to look at some of it today if we can get to it, that shows how the dumping is working with China, and it's not pretty. And so you have a massive incentive for them to want to push through a deal. It's not just us, guys. It's very much them too. So, and we'll talk about some of the pain that they're going through. But I do believe Strategy bought another 397 Bitcoin. Cool. MB says, Jesse, where do you hear on China deal from Chinese sources that I'm hearing from friends over there that the deal is far from closed? I watch a bunch of different sources, honestly, a ton of them. But then I'm also listening to what our guys are saying here, and then I'm weighting what I know of China and what I believe to be true of China, which I believe they're a paper tiger. I think they're a lot weaker than they really pretend to be. Not that they don't have huge manufacturing prowess, but when you lose your buyer and your economy is already falling apart, you don't have a lot of cards to play with. And so they have to take this deal. They have to. Again, if China could wipe us out because their military was more powerful, they would do it. If they could take Taiwan, they would do it. They haven't done it, right? If they could take Taiwan, they wouldn't have started to remove large portions of the head of their military. There's massive corruption in China. I shared a video yesterday that talked about the corruption that was in Russia and speculating how bad the corruption also was in China. And we know it's bad because we know that they had rockets that were full of water. And we know that when and in China, it's almost like a rule to try and get the best you can out of whatever deal you're doing. And there's just corruption fucking everywhere. And the military has enjoyed a ton of that because I think that they never thought they would actually go to war. And so they just took the money and then closed contracts and never actually verified that things were done. And the way things work in China is everybody along the way tries to do their part to take advantage of whatever agreement that they have. And you get to the end and you've stripped out 40-50% of what should have been. And so I think their military is incredibly weak. I think they have to do these things. I listened to Trump yesterday on 60 Minutes. Guys, there's so many fucking interviews. We had like 5 hours of interviews with Elon Musk. We had Trump on 60 Minutes. We had just a ton of people. Jordy Visser's video talking about how Bitcoin is at its IPO stage. And that's kind of what that's going to take over from the 4-year cycle. We're IPOing and we're maturing as an asset class. All of that stuff is fucking awesome. And there's so many videos that have happened and so much to digest. You said like the Russian military. Yeah, I mean, the Russian military is a joke, right? We can objectively, even if you're Russian, you can objectively come to that conclusion. We thought it was the second most powerful military on earth. Vladimir Putin, before he invaded Ukraine, said that, or while he was invading Ukraine, basically said it was going to take the weekend. It was going to take like 3 fucking days. And And we're heading towards year 4 of the war. Over 1 million people have died between both sides. And they couldn't invade one little fucking country. And they're supposed to be the second strongest military on Earth. And they're the next door fucking neighbor on a flat plane. They should have been able to destroy them if they were really powerful, if they were really going to use their nukes, if all the things that they say that they have, this war would have been over. But it's not. It's not even fucking close. And if anything, we've been holding back. The United States has been holding back. Palantir has done their part in that war too. And that's another thing that I think fucking Russia hates. And Anduril is doing their part, building out massive, massive weapon systems for the sea and for everywhere. There's so many things that are happening. We are still the most powerful nation on earth when it comes to military and when it comes to economics. And I think that narrative is finally going to start changing in the future, and we're going to see a lot more people realizing that. Again, portfolio, I'll try and skip through this since we're talking about so much. The one thing I wanted to highlight, so again, and I do have ASST, I do have some Cypher. I am benefiting a little bit from some of this, not huge amounts, just a couple $100,000. I've told people in here, I said, hey, if you're scared that this cycle is fucking over, you do not want to be in 2X funds or in options. So you got to figure out you in the days ahead. I'm not worried that the cycle is over. I very much think that we're still consolidating and that we're going up. If anything, I just wish there were like December calls for CleanSpark, or maybe January's look better. I don't know. Maybe there is something there still to push that out. But we'll see. I'm hoping these things go up first. And again, TLT, we talked about that. I've added that as a position as well. I think it's going to be a good hedge. It has not been a good hedge yet because Powell's a dipshit. And I believe that Stealth QE is coming. I've still got a video I need to watch too from Michael Howell. He did another video talking about how he believes non-QE QE is coming back. So there's just so much to go over. I did want to say this, though. I said I think there's a lot of tailwinds that are building behind us if they're not already here. AI earnings for last week were great. We'll take a look here in a second, see if FS Insight has anything talking about earnings or anything else that they've discussed at the beginning of the week. Their last video was from Friday night, last I checked, so we'll see if they've got anything new. We've got energy in high demand. We know that, right? Like we just listened to the bottleneck conversation between Sam Altman, potential murderer, and Satya Nadella and who else was there? Brad Gerstner. And he was totally rude. Sam was totally rude to Brad. But one of the things that we know is they discussed again how the bottleneck was not with chips right now so much as it was with energy and just getting access to these to data centers that are tied to energy. And then we see these massive contracts today, which we'll go over in a little bit, with iron in Cypher. And so, like, again, it's just we know AI demand is not ceasing anytime soon. And then we know we've got a massive backup in energy and access and data centers tying into that. Backlog is fucking great for market prices to go up. These are really great things. The trade deal is going to be happening soon, and I think, again, we'll get some finalization on that at the beginning of this week. And again, we've got the IPO of Bitcoin. I totally agree with that. Lending, guys, I can tell you both anecdotally and with data points, and we'll see if we can go over some of those today. Lending has gotten better. And so there's just more money available, and I think with the end of QT and the start of Stealth QE, I think we're going to get more of that. We're still seeing China export deflation to the rest of the world. That's very, very true. We'll look at some charts with that. I said Trump's deal with Argentina. In case you guys don't know this, we have a deal too to buy a bunch of beef from Argentina at a discounted rate so that we can lower beef prices in the United States. That's one commodity that's still been costing a lot while other things have went down. Well, he's fixing that. We have shelter inflation still year over year that's going to be dropping. And so that's going to be pulling down the CPI. Pro-growth policies, low taxes, incentives to build in America, deregulation, all the stuff we talk about. And again, M2 is still expanding, and we talked about gold rolling over into Bitcoin. I just think there are so many, and again, out of the 30-plus indicators of whether or not Bitcoin is topped, we have 0 of them triggering. So we have a lot of, I think, really good things sitting out there, reasons to be optimistic about the markets. I said, note from my experience with Bitcoin and really most worthy investments, it's a matter of being able to survive. like mentally, you got to be able to survive and stick around. I said, so you need to be mentally prepared to do what you have to do to make that happen. Whether it's lightening the load, whatever you have to do, just don't. Emotion is so dangerous. It's so dangerous. You almost want to counter trade it. I said also, I know it's been a tough year for anyone in crypto, Bitcoin treasuries, miners for a long time, up until more recently with the HPC play, and 2x funds. So if you're feeling stressed, just remember you are not alone. There's a lot of people in your shoes. But yeah, what is that? Tom Lee was on CNBC talking about walls of worry. You know what? Let's check that out real quick. Maybe we can see that first. I might have to, let me do this. I don't know if I have my YouTube TV up. So let me bring that up. And then we can look. You're feeling stressed? I know, dude. I get it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't either. I mean, it's just the way it works. If you're a human being, you feel that. But it's just how you react to it that matters, dude. You know? Like if you don't react to it correctly.
Ingests ES.
If you're reactive, if you're overwhelmed, if you're sick in your stomach and all you're doing is staring at the price and you lose perspective on what you believe is coming, or you're just too heavily invested. Again, I've got like over $1 million in Tesla and TLT alone. And then I've been deleveraging out of options and 2x funds for the most part. I can survive this if things went to shit and all of my ideas on what was coming next and all the fundamentals pointing in the same. But if I'm wrong just about fucking everything, I can survive it. He was calling 7,100 on the S&P in November and 7,300. He's upped it and ETH by 10,000 by the end of the year. I love that. Okay, let's go back.
And
Let's find a Tom Lee here, guys. Can we find a Tom Lee? Let's see. Tommy boy. Does anybody know? Is it on X? Oh, I found it. I found it. All right, here we go. Oh, I probably need to. 1 second. I gotta like move this. Oh, okay. God. Just kill the mic. I gotta kill the mic, and I'll just fast forward here until we get to it. Oh, where is the speed? Audio track. I don't want the audio track. I want to go next. Oh, this sucks. This is like it's bullshit. Let me go up ahead. There we go.
Advisors, head of research, and a CNBC contributor. Once again, Tom, looking at your last couple of appearances, whenever you're...
I like that, Joel.
Actually, it's been a while now. When you're on, I kind of hold my breath after some of your forecasts, because a lot of times I think, no way, and then it's always seemed you have not been really wrong.
Tommy Lee.
In any significant way.
We'll check FundStrat after this, FS
any,
Insight, and see what he has there, too.
Trepidation, second thoughts? Do you ever get nervous about any of your calls?
Yeah, all the time, filled with doubts because you know.
Yeah, he's the same. He's
no
a
one
human
can be
being.
right off. You're 51%. You're like the best ever in this business.
He does look good, yeah.
You're still bullish, even though you talked about last week a little wobble in some stocks. Sell on the news because of China. Continue. Now, it looks like a little bit of hawkishness out of Jay Powell. I don't know if that lasts.
Yeah, that's right. I think the market has a lot of walls of worry.
I want to hear all of it.
We've got the shutdown, we've got China, we got the Fed speak, but the market's been up 6 months in a row now.
This is Tom Lee.
Only 6 times since 1928 that's happened. So if you look at November, we're up 5 or 6 times. And in 1942, it was flat. So basically, November should be really strong. I think at least 200 points on the S&P. So maybe...
For November.
Yeah, maybe even 250. So maybe we get to 71.
See, that's a call that I just wish you wouldn't make a call like that, right?
I just wish you wouldn't make a call like that.
250 to 3%.
He does, dude. Somebody buffed up Tom Lee today.
Because 250 points to say in November, 250 points. You're giving a time and a size.
But maybe we wobble the first couple weeks just to digest all the games.
Yeah, that's what I saw in your notes. So initially there could be some.
It's the big glasses. Have his glasses gotten bigger?
What's driving
everything?
Is that what it is? They're still. I
need to get some of those.
Not positive, is it? You
the lesbian Karen glasses.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like AAII, the average sentiment this year is still minus 11.5, like net solidly bearish. That's only happened 3 other times in 35
After
years,
November
all in the middle of
Why
bear
the 10th,
market. So investors feel like it's a bear market, but we're up 17%.
Yeah, Ted.
Which kind of tells me I think there's a big performance chase into year end. You know, over 80% of fund managers are missing their benchmark this year.
Wow. And you
Yeah,
don't
that's actually
care-
that's a really good point that I want to touch on, and I think I have a slide for that too. I've been kind of a fucking mess lately. I don't know if you can tell right now. I'm not doing very good, and my throat hurts too. But fund managers are underperforming. He said 80%, right? They have to play catch up. They want to at least be able to kind of track the S&P and the NASDAQ. They don't want to underperform drastically. So a lot of them are going to have a huge push to try and outperform into the end of the year, which usually means more buying. So I think that's the point he's making. It's a very, very crucial one. And I do agree with that. I think there's a lot of people chasing into the market right now to try and just make up for being out of the game. Not everybody was in Iron or Palantir or insert whatever company, but retail was, but not everybody was. Yeah, we'll look at AAII. He might even touch on that. What we'll do, we'll listen to him. We'll jump to FS Insight and look at his video. I'm sure he's covering that too in it.
about not having government data, because does the market ever really wait for government data, or does it sort of sniffs it out, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The all-knowing market.
That's right, because we have good Fed futures to look at what's implied for inflation. The Fed looks at the bond market. The bond market figures things out before the data comes out. I do think the inflation is probably falling a lot faster than everyone expects. I mean, you can look at trueflation, and we're down to sub 2% inflation, excluding housing.
Shelter, yeah.
Yeah, and
Up
shelter is
20% this
fine.
morning,
Yeah.
Because that CPI number
22.
was, just barely cooler than expected, wasn't it?
You might want to take some of those profits.
The shelter piece is now at 0.16 month over month. That's at 2% year over year. That
maybe
level
slowly.
Would bring core inflation down sharply. And over 54% of the CPI components are now deflating. It's the highest percentage since
Over half, 54% of the components in the CPI are deflating. They're going down.
COVID started.
It seems, Tom, that the markets
That's great.
have, largely because of what you're describing, moved on from the inflation watch.
Yeah.
They've kind of put that aside as maybe the forefront risk, and much like the Fed has been dragged to doing, wondering about downside risk to growth. I mean, if you just look at things like the reaction of home builder stocks, consumer cyclicals, regional banks, just to that hawkish cut by Powell last week, it seems like it's not hard to get the market a little bit uneasy about just exactly what kind of a soft patch this is, even if we have confidence that maybe it firms up into next year. So how does that play into the overall action in the index and what you expect from the market?
Yeah, I think there is something the market's trying to
Shorten
figure
your
out, which is
questions. Nobody cares.
AI is consuming jobs, but that's turning it into profits for corporates. So profits
True.
are expanding.
Good point.
And then we have profit margins have actually been going up in the middle of tariffs. So how are companies able to take
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. If you think about it, all the AI, people are starting to realize improvement where maybe they don't have to hire as many people, or maybe they can let a few people go because they're able to do something with some AI agents that they took like a department or 10 or 20 people or something, depending upon the size of the company. And now you have like one or two people that run it and manage it, and it does all the work of all these people. And so you're going to see a lot of that in the future.
70% of the tariff hit, but margins are going up. So there must be
I'm not, but somebody else is, so we might jump into his stream for a second. It's probably popping off here pretty quick.
a productivity boom somewhere. And then we have, like you said, $7 trillion of cash on the sidelines, but we have high rates. And so the Fed, I kind of think, is trying to not overheat the economy. But we know that you just point out, housing's in big trouble. So I would say it makes sense if inflation's in a good place and jobs aren't really strengthening for cuts to happen, and that would be really dovish. So I think that sort of comes together before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Andrew.
So now we kind of set an expectation of, there might not be a rate cut in December. But again, we're already seeing that creeping back up, guys. It went from 50 to 67.1% probability. So that looks a lot better than it did before. And so we got a lot of good news going into the end of the year.
Hey, Tom, have you been reading all these stories that just been out recently here about how
I don't know.
the Fed is doing all of this sort of repo activity, like a lot of repo activity? And I just wonder what that really means for
QE, motherfucker.
both the markets and maybe even for crypto. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a ton of money. I mean, it looks like
Massively
something like
increased
$30 billion
likelihood.
just to ease liquidity concerns. This is, past couple of days kind of thing.
Yeah, it is pretty typical into month end, right? That's what we are seeing. And I think that some of these numbers are also being distorted because of the government shutdown. So we know that
totally.
the Treasury reserves are building because there aren't any payments being made. So it is something we're watching. But if I was to say that there's signs of bank stress, I'd also be looking for high yield spreads to be widening. And those are actually staying pretty calm.
So you figure No problem
right.
with 7,000 by the end of the year. More likely something even above that, in your view? Like what?
Yeah, exactly.
7,300?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe 7,300, 7,500.
7,500.
Yeah, so we still.
Motherfucker. Hey, you guys remember this. Remember this. If we get to S&P 7,500, who gets credit for that? It's not Tom Lee. Not this time. Okay? I fucking said that the whole fucking time. I think I said that in like May. Okay? I've literally got it on this fucking chart right now. When we go up to 7,500, I get credit for that. You guys have to make sure Tom Lee owns that, okay? Tom Lee, you better own it. I'm kidding. I use your stuff on my channel all the time. And you don't harass me, so we're good. But I do want credit for that. That's mine. That motherfucker is mine, okay? Bitcoin Surfer says 7,501. That's awesome. The price is right. All right, let's see here. You would win by that, I think. All right, let's see here. I need to refresh. We're going to see if we got anything new. It looks like we do have some earnings report stuff. Let's go down to here and click on it. It looks like the last video was still Mark Newton on Friday at 7:26 p.m. But let's just look here. So 136 companies are reporting this week. 130 are out of the 318 that have already reported, 64% of the S&P. They're 85% are beating estimates, and of the ones beating, that's median of 5%. 15% are missing with a median of -5. So this hasn't changed a lot. I mean, arguably it's as better than it was in the beginning of the earnings season. Uncle Jesse, if we hit 7,500, yes, I get credit for that. If we hit 7,501, I still get fucking credit. I'm taking credit no matter what. All right, I don't think we need to touch on much more there. And it doesn't look like we just got what Mark Newton was talking about with technicals, which I think I'll skip for now. It's not much different than what I've been talking about. All right, so let's go back to my recent posts. Hit the like. It's free support. Yes, please do that. We got like almost 1,100 people here. It would be great if you could do that. Matthew Siegel, recovering financial advisor, says Cipher signs a $5.5 billion 15-year lease with Amazon Web Services. Cipher right now in pre-market is up about 16.7%. I believe that this is kicking off for like actual development and getting into production in like 2028. But yeah, so this is fascinating. It's awesome to see this deal being closed. And again, we have more of that too. Let me just scroll down here. So we've got Iron, details behind the $10 billion Iron plus Microsoft Cloud AI deal. The build is structured in 4 50-megawatt phases through 2026 using liquid-cooled racks rated between 130 to 200 kilowatts each. Microsoft made a 20% prepayment that would be credited in the years 3 to 5. All-in capex of $15 million per megawatt. That's a great price. And $10 million for data center infrastructure, $3 million for the GPU stack, and $2 million for acceleration and network integration. So the numbers are nice. That translates to about $2 billion in ARR with an estimated 85% EBITDA margin, making it one of the most profitable AI cloud builds globally. So that's cool. You love to hear that. And again, Mike Alfred's been saying that we're early. He's probably right. This bubble's probably going to get bigger. Bobby F., thank you for becoming a member. You can talk and chat. The deal scales Iron to roughly 100K NVIDIA GPUs and locks in 3 gigawatt of grid-connected capacity, which is enough to power additional multi-tenant campuses beyond Childress. I think I'm saying that right. Iron also secured a $5.8 billion equipment purchase from Dell to support the rollout. Again, there's all these deals that are going between all these different companies. This is really good stuff. Somebody put Mike Alfred, we doubted Iron and Nebius into one point while we liked CoreWeave, but now it doesn't matter. There's that much demand. So Jim Cramer owning up to the fact that it looks like it's going to continue to go up, which is cool. But yeah, so we've got a lot of deals going on. I think I said in here, I think that's actually helping CleanSpark too. I know it's fucking insane. Like all these numbers are great. And again, it's helping the entire sector. We know CleanSpark is very vertically integrated. We know they have a low cost basis and they're tied in with tons of energy and they're running on renewables. They've got a lot of strong narratives behind them. And they're less than 1/3 the size of Iron. So they're like 30% or maybe 29% the size of Iron. So they could, I think this could have a decent run. I don't think it's asking a lot, especially if Bitcoin starts to take off, to see this thing get up into the 50s, between the 33 and 50 level. I'm just hoping that that happens really quickly in the next several weeks. next 3 weeks so that I can make some money off the calls that I have. Let's see what we got here. Mike says, only a matter of time before CleanSpark announces a deal. I agree with that. And Matthew Schultz has been talking a lot. So I think that that's alluding to the fact that what's all going to happen. And then we had this too with Jordy Visser. So that's the silent IPO. And Ernest kind of summarizes some of this. He said most are missing, and you guys should look at his YouTube videos and just look up Visser. It's a pretty easy name, Visser. Make sure you follow him. He's got great content. He does a weekly update with Anthony Pompliano, and I think it's on the Pomp Daily or Weekly or whatever that channel is. I think he's got a few, but it's a good video. I definitely watch it. But he said most are missing the underlying story here. This isn't a sell-off that's happening to Bitcoin. It's a transfer of control. Weak hands are exiting. Institutional and balance sheet capital are quietly accumulating. That's all true. The network is consolidating, not collapsing. So that's why we've seen this steady up and to the right instead of what's normal, which is up, huge crash, but you just keep going up, right? That's the normal. We get the retail FOMO. Everybody gets excited. We make a bunch of money. But all that retail FOMO is in HPC plays and Palantir and Robinhood and SoFi and all the fintech places and all the YouTube guys are talking about, right? And all the X guys that are doing really well. That's where all those multiples are being made. And at the same time, you're seeing an integration of Bitcoin into the market. And crypto has really kind of suffered and lagged the rest of that. But I don't think you should be fading Tom Lee in regard to BMNR right now. I really don't. He said Jordy Visser calls it a silent IPO, initial public offering. Liquidity is shifting in more areas than just the NASDAQ. Bitcoin is repricing based on who owns the float. The phase mirrors what public markets see after breakout growth. It's a distribution stage where the next institution leg higher, with the next institution or institutional leg higher. What it means for investors: duration over dopamine. Volatility is not weakness, it's rotation. Ownership concentration equals long-term price stability. So what we're saying is a more steady path up and to the right. And I agree with that. I think that's what's happening. But I do think we can have a blow-off here and have some excitement. I think we're at least getting to 145. Bare fucking minimum. I don't see how we don't. We've got so many tailwinds behind us that were headwinds from the last time. Again, last cycle, the Fed raised rates at one of the most aggressive rates ever in history, by far. And that neutered the top of the cycle for all the meme things and all the stock market and Bitcoin and crypto. It just killed everything. This time around, we've got rocket fuel behind us. We got QE. We're ending QT. We're firing up QE. And we're lowering rates. We're going to start to see the market appreciate those rates because they're going to see American exceptionalism. It's everywhere. And we're going to see, I think, that still spike up. But I do agree with this. I think that what we're seeing here is we're seeing the IPO of Bitcoin. He says that the next rally won't be retail-driven hype. It'll be capital efficiency, data centers, and balance sheet adoption. We're watching Bitcoin evolve from speculation to infrastructure, to trade, to treasury, noise, to narrative control. Will you be a player of an observer in the financial pivot? What companies can give exposure while also providing a hedge? Take a look at the top Bitcoin mining companies that own their own power portfolio. And then that was off of a post from Matthew Schultz talking about that IPO. So this is the IPO thesis from Visser. So this is really cool. This is good stuff. And again, like I said, we've got a 7-year trend line that I think we're consolidating above for CleanSpark. So I think it's a good narrative for it. I really do. Let's go back and look at some of these charts real quick that we're moving. Gold is up about 0.31%. So again, it's going up, but it's not anything too exciting. Let's see what else we have here. And the IIAA, we should probably look at that too. CleanSpark's still up 3.2%. So again, it's doing better in pre-market. It looks like it's trying to consolidate higher. Let me see, what do we have over here? The S&P. Again, we're breaking down underneath the .618. But the way things are going, guys, I feel like we've got rocket fuel to break above it. I think that's why we have Tom Lee becoming more optimistic and giving us that 71 or 7,300 to 7,500 range now and upping the ante. Let's get back over to him, though. Sorry.
December, we would build on those November gains.
See, Santoli's like, no way.
No, I don't say no way. I'm open-minded to how far bull markets can go, right? Strong years end strong. We all know about that. The one piece of it I think it's worth kind of struggling with a little bit, though, Tom, is you can look at the AAI surveys,
here we
what
go.
people are saying,
Here we go.
and then you see, equity exposures in, Bank of America private client accounts are basically at their highs. Right, so people have kind of, in aggregate, been riding this to some degree, and then you see a lot of what we've talked about in the last several months of, this kind of upwelling of speculative action in non-profitable tech stocks, low-quality equities leading. That's not the Mag 7. That's like a lot of other marginal stuff. So how do you jibe that with that sense that people are still skeptical?
Yeah, I mean, one, we know there must be skepticism because if people were bullish, the institutional fund managers should have better performance. But as you know, this is one of the worst years for fund managers in almost 30 years. I think that there is also kind of problems
still like
in
SMCI.
private markets. So I think private credit is doing
Getting ready to
terribly. And I
break
think a lot
out.
of
We'll talk about it
LPs
later.
in alternative funds, whether it's venture or private equity, are pretty disappointed by the returns, like the 5 years into now. But the stock market's done well. So I think that there is bearishness because like private equity hasn't come through and fund managers are doing badly. But you're right, the ones who stuck with public stocks are doing well.
I want you to quit while you're ahead, but I have to ask you about Bitcoin. I mean, you want to go out on a limb there too? Because it looks weak again today, 107. Go below 100 or no?
Well, Bitcoin, I mean, if I look at everything since October 10th, because that was the biggest liquidation in the history of crypto, like bigger than
Like
FTX.
a margin call.
Holes.
Yeah, it was like almost a miniature rupture, like
Yep.
a tsunami. We're only a couple weeks from that, so I think the market is consolidating. But if I look at fundamentals, like Ethereum, stablecoin volumes have been exploding, application revenues at all-time highs. So right now, fundamentals are leading price in crypto. So I think eventually we consolidate and then we rally into year end.
To where, 150?
Yeah, I think we can still get to 150, 200 for Bitcoin, and then something
ready?
like 7,000 for Ethereum.
Amazing. Okay, let's see. Tom Lee, thanks. Andrew.
Love this, man. That's my quant. So you asked about EOC, whether or not I like the chart. I do like the chart, kind of, and not all at the same time. It's got Palantir vibes as far as its ability to be able to break out from here and just scream higher. It's a $4.48 billion company. It's all about really the fundamentals, but you got to realize this thing's already went up 3,000 or 3,100%, guys, since the bottom of May 2024. So in a year and a half, people have made 3,100%. The question I think now is, can this thing ride off the hyperscaler narratives and providing power to all these power-starved places? A lot of people, I don't know the technology well enough to be able to say if that's true. Maybe there's some benefit to it. I did ask Mike Alfred in a post, and if you guys know the answer to this because you follow Mike Alfred or anybody else, I just don't know with hyperscalers if batteries are really great solutions right now. I know that I was reading a post from somebody earlier in regard to EOC, just talking about how the different kind of battery that they use gives it a longer time frame for being able to store the power and discharge with it. And so but what I don't know is I still don't know if it's like cost prohibitive. I don't know if it makes sense for these companies to invest in these battery solutions for hyperscalers. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out. So if anybody knows that for sure, let me know. I would love to know. And maybe we'll get lucky and Mike Alfred will answer that question for us so we get a better idea. Gemini Knight says, doesn't feel like we had euphoria yet, or am I wrong? No, man, nothing like it. Just only felt like a taste of it. Yeah, no, it was like if anything, again, I think this is like the part of the cycle where we get the bear trap, the big bear trap, where the bears think it's all over, and then we have the exponential push higher. We've got, again, just all the things. We've talked about them a million times. There's so many things that right now should push us up. Mucho says, still interested in XOVR for SpaceX and Anduril exposure. Grok confirmed good nav. Really? Okay. Do we know... I wonder how much the nav fluctuates, if there's a good way to track it. If there's like a tracker that somebody's built. I don't know with all these funds. Because again, if it just does it have a way to track and basically rebalance to ensure that the nav isn't going to 0.5%. Loss on crypto says, I'm not convinced I like it. Grok misled me and even apologized, but helped me sell at the top close to $16. XRP puts to short XRP. I don't like XRP. I don't care anything about it. MB, according to my calculations, we will get at a grid parity for PV plus battery not earlier than 2031. So batteries are good for data centers. Yes, energy is cheaper for data centers. I just don't know if batteries are good for data centers because, again, I don't know if the price-wise if they're worth it and what it does to margins and if it's needed for what data centers do. Because there's just such a huge, powerful, consistent draw on power. I think the biggest area for batteries, and maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe that's the way I should be looking at it. Maybe no matter what, there's such a demand for power that these batteries still come in helpful, because we know what Elon said. Batteries are going to be great for making it to where we don't have to buy a bunch of extra peaker plants. But we know that we're going to need a lot of power because we got data centers that need a lot of consistent power. So maybe either way, power is just going up. And these batteries will be helpful because you'll want to balance the grid and make sure that you're handling peaks. So maybe the answer is just fucking up for everything, including EOC. They could be. Batteries increase the use of power to spread to the peaks. We need more power. Yeah, it's just an endless need for power. Tesla's a better play for here. Yeah, but it's a much larger cap too. I mean, Tesla. So if somebody like Tesla's 1.52 trillion, right? And EOC is what, 4.45? Is that what we said? 4.48 billion. So the growth could be there. I mean, it could really be there. If you guys have a really good YouTuber that I can watch that talks about EOC, I'd love to see it. I know my buddy Jeff is kind of covering it too, but I don't feel like he spends a lot of time on it. But I'd be very curious if you guys have a good source for like batteries and that talks about EOC that is a YouTuber that we could look at as a group and that I could use for some research for myself. That would be amazing. So please let me know. All right, let's keep going here. Oh, my throat. Just dying. Let me go over here. Nope. Okay, so we already talked about yearly performance. Sorry, I don't have good bookmarks right now. I did want to cover this. So if we do continue to drop, what I wanted to show you is where we drop to. I still believe that we're in we're in a pattern that's going to break out to the upside side. And sorry, my throat is just killing me. And so I still think from where we're at, we're going to bounce. And we're going to bounce up here, and then we're going to exit out of this channel, and we're going to go up to 145 over the next couple of months. That is still very much my belief. But if that doesn't happen, here's key supports that we want to hold. And it, again, I think it said it right over here. It's the 104 to 105 range where we have this downward trend line. We'd want to hold that. If we can't hold that, it's the 92 to 94 where we have peak volumes for the last year and a half and the next fib level. All this we want to hold. So if we overshoot, ideally what would happen is we drop down. If we overshoot, we drop down far and wick back up and then close the week up here. What that would take something that would be normally seen as, we fell, it's bearish, to, oh shit, we fell, but wow, look at this. Now we're ready to go higher. And so that's what we're hoping to see, just so you guys know some of the downside areas and where you might want to buy. We've got Trump saying this about crypto. And again, I posted a video from Eric Trump talking about Bitcoin and crypto and why they're so bullish on it as an administration and why they want to be the leaders. And here's another one from the president himself. You should listen to Eric. Eric is very smart. He's a little more articulate, I think, than Donald is when he's talking about this. Donald is just very straightforward and simple in his speech. But Eric kind of goes into more detail, and he talks just about how brutally they were attacked and how they know that they have to be the leaders in crypto and people have to have the ability to be able to be like pseudo-anonymous or anonymous and have access to crypto so that the government can never have full control over them. They believe that as a family. This is the thing that helps save them, one of many things. But let's listen to Donald Trump talk here about crypto.
I only care about one thing. Will we be number one in crypto? Crypto has turned out, and in that sense, I've been right. Crypto's turned out to be a massive industry, if you want to call it that. And I'm very proud to say that we are far and away ahead of China and everybody else. Now, China's getting into it very big right now. If you want to go after people, you're going to kill that industry, and it'll be very bad. Tremendous number of jobs. I campaigned positively on crypto, very openly. I campaigned.
And Biden was not positive on crypto.
Biden campaigned against it. When Biden found out that I was getting like 100% of the crypto vote, which was a lot, he switched totally, and he went in favor of crypto. They went totally in favor. They had many people under indictment. They let them all go. You know that. Many people were under indictment. Biden was a corrupt president. Biden went all in on crypto at the very end because he thought he could get some votes. It didn't work. They voted for me. I want to make crypto great for America. That's the only thing. I don't want to have somebody else have crypto and have China be number one in the world in crypto. Because in crypto, it's a kind of an industry where basically you're going to have number one and you're not going to have a number two. And right now we're number one by a long shot. I want to keep it that way. The same way we're number one with AI, we're number one with crypto.
I don't think that's true. I think with crypto you are going to have a number two, as far as the fact that you'll have China and their realm of countries that they do business with, that they have a strong affiliation with, will probably use crypto for inter-exchange, for something that they trust, where they don't trust each other, because the digital yuan isn't going to do it. Nobody's going to use India, Russia, or China's currencies anytime soon for cross-border exchange. It just doesn't work well. If you want to understand more about currency, definitely do some research. I'm trying to think. I don't remember if Ray Dalio talks well about currencies, or who a really good person is that discusses currencies and trade and how all of that works and why we're the world reserve currency. If you guys remember the best person for that, throw it in chat. But they can't use their own currencies, and they're not going to use the digital yuan when China could literally just turn off flows to them. That's the same problem they have with us. And so, so they have to have like a trusted third party. So that's going to be something in the crypto space, or maybe some things in the crypto space. Maybe some of it's Zcash now, even though there's not a lot of volume on it. That could just be a price pumping. But they're going to use something, and so I think that will exist. There will be a second. And it could be strong, but I think the biggest by far is going to be Bitcoin. We're very much involved in it, and we're heavily invested, and we've got people that are heavily invested, and businesses that are invested in crypto already, and we're going to be the biggest benefactors of it. Plus, China has to worry about capital outflows. That really hurts their ability to be able to adopt outside of inter-commerce exchange, right? Trade. That's where they can use it, but they don't want people to use it. And Russia's kind of the same way. They don't want capital outflows. They want to trap people in their system, but they do realize that they have to use it sometimes for exchanges between businesses. And so I think that's the way it continues to be in countries like that, but I think we benefit from all of that too. And I do think we're the leaders, and I think this is a really good thing for America. Nuclear is too far away to invest with high. Yeah, I think we're gonna invest in everything. Natural gas, oil, nuclear, solar. Even Eric Trump was talking about how solar isn't a bad form of energy. The narrative is changing. Donald Trump is going to start shifting his narrative, and he's going to be less abusive towards solar, especially if we end up doing some kind of contracts or negotiations to purchase more solar from China, but maybe at a discounted rate, and also with some kind of insurances like that we're not using the inverters or anything they can turn off. But I could see we're going to go for all forms of energy, including nuclear. But again, biggest nuclear reactor ever. 99% of the mass of the solar system is in the sun. We should probably use it. Let's see here. Oh man, I'm so tired. There's so many things to talk about, and I don't have my bookmarks in here well. What do you guys got though? What do you want to talk about? What do you guys want to talk about? Let's look into more energy stocks. I agree. Energy and genomics. Oh, and you know what? That Cipher call, I don't even know how the earnings call is going. It's got to be going all right, though, I think. They're still up 20%, so I think the earnings call is probably going well on Cipher. Any thoughts on Mike Alfred on ASST? I still like ASST. We didn't look at the AAII. Let's maybe do that real quick, and then we'll start looking at other stuff. Not now. I think they slowly talked about it, but they didn't go into the investment survey. Let's see where we're at. So, AI investment survey neutral is really, really low. It's like 20. And the sentiment survey bearish is still, bearish and bullish are near each other. So bearish is way up here. It's way up here, which is kind of good. And that's probably why Tom Lee is still kind of saying that this is a good indicator too, that we can still go higher. Because if you looked at this survey, people were very bearish over here too. We got more people that are bullish now, so it's like maybe more transitional, like over here into May of 2023. But when we had these high bearish levels still up here, and December and November of 2022. Well, we know how that went. 2023, I made 600% across my portfolio. It was a very good year. So it worked out very well. So he's saying people are still way too bearish. Mike Alfred tweets some statements of Cypher CEO. Oh, he did that now? Let's check. NVIDIA? I think NVIDIA... Like, if you want a steady Eddie, then it's great. But I mean, if you think about it, it's not like it's gonna double. I mean, it's already the biggest company in the world. It's already bigger than Germany as an economy. Isn't that crazy? It's bigger than Germany as an economy. Let me see, people. Mike Alfred, how's your TLT thesis for the rest of the month? I don't know about the month, but I mean, that my thesis is going into January of 2027. So I don't care. I'm not looking at it as a short-term thing. I'm looking at it as a hedge, and that I do believe rates will be lower throughout 2026, and that we'll get to much lower levels, because that's the incentive for the government, is to do that, right? It helps out. They've literally said it. The Treasury Secretary has said it. They've said it in numerous ways, that it benefits the federal government to have lower costs on their interest and lower borrowing costs. And it'll make it where that stupid fucking chart showing that, oh my God, all the banks are underwater and, basically financially bankrupt because of these bonds. Well, that narrative completely goes away if you lower the interest rate. And it also opens up the real estate market, which is another thing that Scott Bessent talked about this weekend. He's said the same thing I've been saying the whole time for the last 3.5 years, which is that the existing home sales are frozen. We've been in a recession in real estate for 3.5 fucking years. And it was because of rates, and those rates coming down. We're paying an extra 1.5 bips roughly because of basically the worry, the extra additional premium that's on there, worried about inflation, and not worried enough about growth scares. And so I think in employment, and I think that's going to change. I think rates are going to come down. I think people are going to be worried about growth. And I think we're getting ready to do our big bounce. Let's see, though. Mike Alfred. Also, Page says every available megawatt will be contracted in the near term if current pace of inbound demand continues. This market is getting more frenzied by the day. Yeah, he's right. Cypher CEO Tyler Page says they're considering starting a Cypher cloud offering with the extra 56 megawatt Barber Lake facility. Dumb. Come on, Jim. You're better than this. If you don't understand what's happening, just call me. I love that. Good for you, Mike. He's just literally like, dude, you're being an idiot. Call me. It's fucking awesome. This man is the real deal. First, they told you that legacy Bitcoin miners couldn't do AI. Then they told you we couldn't do business with hyperscalers directly. Then they said hyperscalers would never come to West Texas. All of these consensus narratives were wrong. What else they got? That's literally, I saw posts this weekend talking about some of this bullshit. Yeah, the margins are incredible. Thoughts on Mara? I think that they're gonna. I think all of the miners are gonna go up. I just don't know which ones go up the most next. CleanSpark is up 4.5% almost in pre-market right now. It's sitting around 1856. So that could maybe do better. Mara is a little slightly larger cap too. It's at 6.77 billion, whereas CleanSpark is only 5.3. But we'll see. They don't. Their infrastructure isn't as vertically integrated. They had a lot of other people doing their shit, but they were pushing more towards vertical integration. And so we'll see what ends up happening. I'm imagining all of these companies are going to end up shifting over to that. I haven't heard as much out of Mara. Have you guys, from like Fred Thiel or anybody there? It just seems like they're not pushing as hard as, like, at least maybe in the marketing side, they're not pushing hard. But I do hope they do well. I've got a lot of options contracts for December, I think, with those guys. Tesla, the NF, in my opinion, even if Tesla shows a flying car as a new product, is something coming in 5 days. No. It's not a flying car. It's just their car is going to be able to hover. They've talked about it for years that they're going to have like a cold fusion rockets on this thing, probably like 12 of them. And that it'll help with turns, it'll help with acceleration, and it'll help with stopping. And it might even elevate the car off the ground for a minute. So I think that's all it is. And it's not 5 to 8 years away. It's happening now. It's already been it's been in a 7.5 year wait, right? It's already been a long wait. And they wouldn't show you something that's going to take another 8 years. They wouldn't do that. They would fucking anger so many people. People put $50,000 down for those. It's now. It's going into production next year. Oh, all right. All right. Oh, God. Next era on energy and Cypress Creek Renewables. You think that we could move the stock strongly? You think that would move the stock strongly? Which stock are we talking about right now? The Tesla? I think Tesla's going to keep going up. Tesla is in a breakout pattern. Like this is breaking out of a 4.5 year consolidation, one of the longest in its history. Right? It tried to break out over here. It couldn't. Broke down. It finally got above it. It's established support. This is an inverse head and shoulders. The inverse head and shoulders gets you to 930 by the end of 2026 at the very latest. So you're looking at a doubling, I think, in the next year. That's a pretty safe bet, in my opinion. Now, if we ran up to here, to 580 or 590, 600 up here, then I might be like, maybe it makes some sense to take a little bit of that off the table and to save it for a dip. And then maybe you buy an option that gets you to the next leg higher. I don't know. Got 80% of my portfolio in Tesla. I think you're going to do really well. I mean, again, it's been a nice bounce finally, right? After many, many years of just sideways chop. Just like phase 2, 3, whatever, if you call this one merged. And then the one before it, like this is what happens. You have this long consolidation period. It's a much better valued stock now. A lot has changed since way over here. Is your strongest position next to crypto plays that are underperforming right now? I'm patient though. Yeah, me too. I think my let's see here. James Invest Answers has 8-minute pod has rundown on EOC. Oh, he does. How recent is that one, Marco or Macro Polo? Those companies are American scale solar utility. I do like that. I like the fact that the EOC is very much sourced through an American path. I can't remember if it's like 95% sourced. Do you guys remember the number? I think it was high. Echo, Legacy Auto is changing. Porsche is a great example. First quarterly loss. Yeah, they're all just dying. BYD sucks too. I had a post. I haven't been able to bookmark anything. I'm just such a mess. But I had a post from someone who owns a BYD. And they said, guys, the software sucks. And the cars just are not a Tesla, and I wish I would have just waited for the Model YL, the long range one. He said, but he's like, these cars are not like a Tesla. They're shit in comparison. Invest Answers YouTube on EOC is honestly horrible. He doesn't know the company at all. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If you don't, I don't know it well enough to be able to talk to it. So I don't know if somebody else has a better person. Cantonese Cat says EOC is palantiring, but is he doing that from a technical perspective, or is he talking about the fundamentals too? Because I like a lot more than just technicals. I don't know why anybody would drive a car that doesn't, or buy a car that doesn't drive itself either. Guys, I'm probably gonna DM'd you a good EOC YouTube. Oh, okay, all right, I'll check it out, Debo. I definitely want to see that. I'm probably going to bounce. My sinuses are killing me. My throat's fucking killing me. Here's what I think. I think that this week is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be positive for HPCs because of what happened with Iron and Cypher today. I think we could still see. I think this week and maybe even today is the last of the downward pressure on BMNR and Solana. So like Ethereum and Solana, I think that those things are going to start to bottom out, and I think we're sitting pretty good on them. I didn't pull them up. I'll just do that real quick here. And I've got a video I want to show you guys too. It's fucking great. But again, Ethereum, we had this trend line that we were finally able to break up We couldn't do it here. 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 Then we did. Now we're testing support. It still looks good to me, guys. I don't see the market ending anytime soon. So I think this one's going to come around, and Solana has not failed either, albeit a much further drop would suck. We need Solana to gain some strength here, but we still got pretty even on our nuts. And if this holds true, again, we're still going higher. And Bitcoin, I think, is still doing good too, and you can see that in the chart to the side. So I think we're still sitting good. I'm still positive. Tom Lee is still positive. We've got now a hawkish Fed with the thesis now of no rate cut in December, to people being hopeful that we still get one and that we still get them into the beginning of next year. And if bonds start to roll over again, I think the dollar is topping. Let me just show you that. I think the dollar is getting ready to top right over here. You can see where we're hitting resistance, support, broke down, hit it, resistance, broke down, hit it again, trying to test up. I think we could roll over again, but this is a slow process. I think the dollar is probably just tabling off. I think energy is going to continue to drop because we're working hard to make sure that that's happening. We're at 60 right now, 60, 90. But I think that's getting ready to roll over too. I don't know. I think a lot of good things are happening. ASST, 125 million IPO public offering preferred shares. Is that just another announcement? Cool. But, I think things are going to be good. I think we got a lot of tailwinds behind us. I think one should be optimistic and positive, and just, again, if you're overextended, maybe you need to address that. But CleanSpark's up 4% in pre-market, and I think it's going higher. Let me see how some of this other stuff is doing. Metaplanet in Germany is up 1% today, so it's doing all right. BMNR is down 3.37% in pre-market, but not too bad. And ASST, where's that sitting? That's up 0.75%. After being up 10% on Friday and sitting at 134. So that's a good number. SoFi's up. ARKG's up 0.4%. ARGT is still kicking ass. It was up 3.5% on Friday. It's up 1% this morning. So Argentina's looking good. TLT is down. But I think that's going to be something where if we start doing really well in other things, I'll start dialing into more of that along with other plays. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm probably gonna bail, guys. I'm exhausted, and I'll try and see you guys Wednesday. Hopefully, I do feel like I'm getting better, so hopefully my voice is better. Then I'm trying not to lose it right now. I do want to play a video for you though on the way out. It's a funny one that I love. It's right here. It's us. It's Paw Team 6 kicking ass in Venezuela and taking names. We're going after the narco terrorists. You guys take it easy. Enjoy the video, and I will talk to you tomorrow.